going into last season in the top 5 of the AP poll. Baylor controls the tip. They are 8-0 on the season, and it has just been dominant. Everything they've done, they've scored the ball. One of the best teams in the nation scoring, and that's Flo Thamba with an and-one chance.
Well, they do such a good job of moving you around the floor, switching sides with the basketball. And here, you run a little bit of a dribble weave and then a pick and roll. Flo Thamba rolling right to the basket. The help side defense late coming over. Beautiful pass, and Thamba now has an opportunity for a three-point play.
Flo Thamba, 6'10 junior from Congo. Iowa State sticking with this group for the 5th straight game. Darlin Stone-Dubar replaced Tyler Harris in the starting lineup in Game 3 as that shot got tipped from Bolton.
Great defense by Mark Vital, getting a hand up and deflecting that shot.
Butler off the mark. Dubar rebounds. That's one of the things Steve Prohm said they have to do is rebound well. Baylor's really good. First in the conference, plus 10 in the rebounding margin. Bolton to work. Davion Mitchell the other way quickly. Blocked. Great defensive play by Javen Johnson. What is it that we're seeing from Baylor different from a year ago that's putting up these ridiculous offensive numbers?
Well, I think that when you look at Baylor, their guards have all improved, and they were all really good last year. I think Steve Prohm was not happy about that last call, and I agreed with him. I think that was hit off Davion Mitchell. Nice play defensively by Javen Johnson. It's going to be huge today for Iowa State to get off to a good start. And defensively now, a couple breakdowns for them, but you think about all season, they've gotten off some slow starts, down 9-2 against Jackson State. That can't happen today against Baylor. The Bears just too explosive to overcome that type of start.
Solomon Young, really deep in the post. The left hand is good.
Really nice drive. Solomon Young understanding the matchup, just driving Flo Thamba right down that lane line.
Up and good. Baylor right back to work, and it's one of those starts again so far. 6-2 run.
Sports. I mean, you literally had a situation where there was a murder on your team, and not many guys wanted to take the job. Scott Drew had done a great job at Valpo as the head coach taking over for his dad, and yeah, Chucky, he's done a phenomenal job here.
Inside the Thamba running the floor. He's fouled and goes to the line for 2.
That's a beautiful look by Jared Butler. Butler's played at an All-American level this season, but, man, you let Baylor get out in transition, you are asking for trouble, and sees the floor beautifully. Flo Thamba really running the floor, and Jared Butler rewarding his big.
We talked about it before we came today, but it blows my mind how unselfish this guard group was. And I mentioned to you, obviously you're scoring 95 points a game. Everybody can kind of get theirs, but at some point, you get into conference play, you're not going to be scoring 90 points, but still, they come off as such an unselfish group.
Well, everybody understands their role. And that's such a big part of being a good college basketball team. And I feel like when I played at Purdue, Matt Painter, every season at some point in the year, he'd go to the whiteboard and he'd write out your role. And I feel like with Baylor, all these guys totally understand what Scott Drew wants them to do.
Solomon Young again. He's got all 4 for Iowa State. Found a matchup he likes.
Just isolating Solomon Young at the elbow and letting him go to work.
That's too easy.
That's really poor defense. And Steve Prohm is really unhappy with the way Iowa State is guarded here through the first 2.5 minutes of this game. Baylor's a juggernaut offensively anyway. Right now, they're just letting them waltz in and do whatever they want.
Solomon Young just didn't have anything. A little bit of standing around. The one bright spot today for Iowa State, Trey Jackson is back. He's dealing with an injury to his left knee. He returns for the first time. Pull up 3. Good. Nice shot there from Jalen Coleman. Lands the transfer.
He has shot the ball much better over the last 4 games. And you could tell the whole way down he was going to let that fly. And dribbled up the court, did just that.
Butler steps back. Short. Bolton rebounds. Looking for some help. Johnson got caught in the air, and Solomon Young wasn't looking. Now Butler and one.
David Johnson has really had some issues turning the basketball over, and right there, you're just starting the break for Baylor. If you're Trey Jackson, if you're going to foul on this play, if you're going to foul Jared Butler, you got to actually foul him. Just a swipe down at the basketball, you graze him on the wrist, get a little bit of contact. That's as easy of an and one as you're going to have.
Jared Butler, preseason All-American, preseason Big 12 Player of the Year. Joins Pierre Jackson and Perry Jones III as the only two Baylor players to get that honor. Coming off an All-American season. And then we talked about it yet, and Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Adam Flagler. Decent little crew. Solomon Young again.
He went right at Jonathan Chama right there. That was a strong post move by Solomon Young, and so far he's been really good for Iowa State.
Taken away. Coleman lands, spinning, off balance, and stripped away by Butler. Hit the baseline. I gotta give you credit. You got Chama right the first time. Well done.
I've only been practicing it for the last 3 days. A really nice post move. Solomon Young just bringing the physicality right to Chama. See, you jinxed me. I was good, and then I messed it up there.
David Johnson, 3-ball.
Need him to be a third scorer here with Rasheer Bolton and Jalen Coleman lands, and certainly have Solomon Young in that mix as well, but David Johnson really struggled. Coming into today, just one of his last 10 from three, a big shot. Iowa State did a nice job of weathering this early Baylor run.
ACOT backing away, Johnson guarding, they're trying to go inside. A little bit of a mismatch here with Chama. Skips it across, Flagler. Pass was tipped. Great hustle by Trey Jackson, and Iowa State forces a turnover.
Much better help side defense there. Jalen Coleman lands is waiting for that post move. Good job, good hands on the weak side.
Ball on the floor, and Baylor comes away with it. Now the Bears have numbers. Butler lobs it up. Mark Vidal.
They are so explosive in transition, and it's just, you cannot turn the basketball over against this Baylor club. They do a great job of forcing turnovers, but Iowa State not doing themselves any favors here early.
Foul called on Butler.
He's been so good this year, and he was great last year, Chucky, but man, I've been really impressed with these Baylor guards. You feel like every one of them has made improvements in their game over the offseason.
Colton Prentice. Slide right off of Solomon Young. Now Johnson feeding inside, just forced it. The feet of Solomon Young.
I mean, Solomon Young has no chance to catch that pass. And that's hitting him in the ankles. David Johnson, his turnover issues well documented. That's a really poor pass.
And a poor pass at this end by Matthew Meyer, seeing some of his first minutes of the day. State missed their first two field goal attempts. They're 5 of 6 since then. And the start you talked about was important. Maybe not the ideal start for them those first few minutes, but they've settled in nicely.
They've had some breakdowns and they've turned the ball over some, but at the end of the day, you look at the score and it's just 15-12. Their offense, Solomon Young really got them off to a nice start.
Johnson steps back, Bolton, extra pass, Coleman lands. Off the mark, that would have moved him to 9th among active players and career three-pointers in the NCAA.
That doesn't go, but that was a great possession. Multiple extra passes, and Jalen Coleman lands is as good of a look as he's going to get all day.
Meyer. He didn't have anything, takes it himself. How about that bucket?
When you think about this Baylor team, Chucky, Matthew Meyer is like the 7th guy, and he's making plays like that, as talented as anybody on this team. And Matthew Meyer getting to the basket, taking contact there by Rasheer Bolton, and that just shows you what kind of depth they have on this ball club. Matthew Meyer, a real player, and we're only averaging just 9 points a game, but that's how talented this group is.
Super athlete. Can score it from really anywhere on the floor. comes off the bench for Scott Drew. Bolton fouled on his way to the hoop. What is the recipe against Baylor defensively? They're so good as far as on-ball defense goes. What's the recipe to have success against them?
Well, you have to handle their ball pressure for sure. And right now you're seeing Jonathan Chamwa really hard hedge on these ball screens. Rasir Bolton's going to have some opportunities to find some teammates here. We talked about Iowa State needing to stay out of rotation. You can get Baylor's help side defense in rotation with the way they're guarding.
Meyer got his hands on that pass.
Really active hands. That was going to be an open shot. Matthew Meyer doing a good job with high hands.
Lobbing up top, too high. Mitchell thought there might have been a hold on Solomon Young, but Chamwa had no chance at that.
Really physical with that pick and roll defense. And you're right, Chucky. That really impacted Chamwa going up and getting that lob.
3 minutes without an Iowa State bucket. Trey Jackson, Coleman lands, skips it across to Bolton. Extra pass, Trey Jackson wide open, and it goes.
That's 100% what they just did, is get Baylor into a rotation. They were constantly scrambling there. Iowa State, really good ball movement. That ball is moving from side to side, and now Rasir Bolton with the steal.
And Bolton flushes it. We're tied at 17. Can you imagine this place right now if it was full?
It's honestly sad, because this is one of the best venues in all of college basketball, but Iowa State's energy has been much better over the last 4 minutes. Davion Mitchell is showing you how effective he is. He does everything. He's a great defender. He can move the basketball, lead the league in assists, but also can really score it. He's had a phenomenal year.
Coleman lands, pulls up. That's a good look.
You can shoot the ball with some serious confidence. You can make threes from the perimeter. That's going to open other things up. Playing off that closeout, getting your pull-up.
He's 18 threes on the season, leads the team. Shoots 42% from out there. That's off the mark, and the Cyclones have a chance to take their first lead of the game. Really settled in. And some turnovers, but overall they look pretty comfortable offensively. Solomon Young, offensive.
That was played so well by Chamwa, crowding Solomon Young, not letting him shoot the 15-foot jumper, and then Young lowers his shoulder. Great defense there by Jonathan Chamwa. Taylor Horton-Tucker. Certainly you think they're going to be good college players, but I'm not sure that Steve Prohm expected, as we see Matt Meyer going to the rack. Nice little back cut there. I don't think you could have planned for them to leave, and then when they do, it's a little bit of scramble mode. This is a really nice set by Scott Drew coming out of the timeout, and you talked about Matthew Meyer's athleticism earlier. Man, he's so talented, and Scott Drew, he talked about it last night with us, about how much he's matured and kind of finding his game here on a group where it could be hard to find your offensive rhythm because they've got so many options. But man, he's a real talent coming off the bench. You have to think, Chucky, between Matthew Meyer and also Jonathan Chamwa, those guys would start for just about anybody in the country.
Going up top to Condit, who got his man in the air, and he'll go to the line for 2 shots. We talked about the depth for Baylor. For Iowa State, when you were at Purdue, was there ever moments in games, even against really good teams, where certain guys would come in and you think, okay, we got a little bit of a break here?
Well, I think that any good team, you're going to have a bench like that where they come in and they give you something. And when I was at Purdue, we certainly had that with some of those good teams I was on. But I think with this Baylor group, they have an elite group of guys coming off the bench. Adam Flagler, he can really score the basketball. We haven't really seen him do much of that here today, but man, they've got so many players coming off that bench. It's really impressive to see the group that Scott Drew has assembled.
Iowa State down just 1. This is, I have to think, going great for Steve Prohm standing on the sideline. And they've got a chance to take the lead. Coleman lands a little hesitation, lost control of it, and good job to recover by Bolton.
Rasher Bolton on the defensive end making a great hustle play to get back into play, and then bailing out Jalen Coleman Lands, who threw a hand grenade there. Could have easily been a pick six.
George Condit's working hard inside. Johnson, pretty good look, and Iowa State has the lead.
I love that Javen Johnson just used his size, took his time, got into the paint, scored right over the top of the defense. A really nice take.
Meyer, Lothamba.
Coleman Lands is a help defender. It's really impacting this basketball game. He's doing a great job of coming over and helping on these Baylor actions.
4 to shoot. Davion Mitchell off the mark. Rebound Bolton, but we have a foul called.
That's about as good of a defensive possession as you're. I guess that's a situation if the ball doesn't lie right there.
Condit lays it up.
That's the type of energy that George Condit needs to play with. He did a nice job against West Virginia of coming in and playing with that type of energy, but they're running the floor, and the Iowa State guards really rewarding the big for doing just that.
Butler, nice feed to Thamba, and count the bucket.
Rasher Bolton is the help side defender there, and he's just late coming over. Let's look at the transition bucket first. Really doing a nice job of finding a really nice pass through a tight window. George Condit running the floor, and then if you're Rasher Bolton here, you're the weak side help defender. You've got to meet Flo Thamba outside the lane. At that point, you've got nothing. Really, your options are incredibly limited. You have to foul, and Thamba doing a nice job of playing through contact.
We're back even at 23 apiece. Big reason why it's a reckless pass. Baylor leads the country in three-point field goal percentage. They're 0 for 4 today. That's one thing Steve Prohm told us in shoot-around yesterday is we have got to defend the three-pointer. My favorite part was I asked Steve Prohm, what are the biggest challenges Baylor face or poses to your team, and he kind of just looked down and laughed a little bit like, what challenges don't they pose?
Certainly a lot of issues that they bring to the table. Javen Johnson is handling the basketball right now, and Steve Prohm, he just told him, hey, I trust you. But Johnson has had issues turning the basketball over, and honestly, Iowa State fortunate they didn't turn the ball over right there.
Jalen Coleman lands. Or Bolton out there right now. An offensive foul called.
I know you're trying to get those guys a rest, but I'm not sure you can play Javen Johnson at the point, especially with Davion Mitchell guarding him. And that was textbook right here. Just moving his feet, staying in the play. And that's an easy call for the official.
Yeah, it feels like however long those two are out, this is a really important stretch for Iowa State. Stripped away, that goes off of Mitchell. Nice defensive play.
Tyler Harris did not quit on that play. Initially, Davion Mitchell with the blow-by. Harris stays in it and is able to knock it away from behind. Really nice effort there. You've got to contain the bounce, but the extra effort by Tyler Harris saving that play. Mark Vidal is locking up right now.
Back cut by Harris, handoff to Condit. It looked like there might have been some contact there. It got blocked on the second one. Condit saying, hey, throw that up for me next time, but the State Cyclones ball.
A wise cut there by Tyler Harris. This ball pressure is really starting to impact this Cyclone offense, and Mark Vidal is flying around. I agree, Chuck. You felt like there was some contact initially, but Vidal coming over and blocking that shot.
Taken away. Butler and Mitchell combining. Maceo Teague steps in and put back by Chamwa Chachua, but they'll say it was still in the cylinder.
Jonathan Chamachachua plays with such a high motor, and boy, that's about as close as you can get right there. Hard to tell from that angle if it was off the rim or not, but
I actually thought Condit might have gotten a piece of that.
look at where Iowa State is running their offense from. Chamachachua moving his feet, and again, boy, these Baylor defenders on the basketball are just wrecking havoc with Javen Johnson as a ball handler.
And that's 3 on Johnson. Bolton's going to have to come back in. I think Steve Prohm is saying, look, we're just going to have to do it. They've got 3 guys with 3 fouls right now. Bolton and Coleman Lands are 2 of them.
They're certainly in a precarious situation here with the foul trouble, but I'm just not sure they have the ball handlers to handle Baylor's pressure. Javen Johnson, you see what happens with the way they're heating the ball up. It was the guards, the bigs, everybody really pressuring him. Javen Johnson just playing a little too fast.
Johnson with 3, Bolton and Coleman Lands with 2 apiece, and they've got to go probably the next 7 minutes of this half without picking another one up, or they're in some deep trouble. Vital takes it in strong over Bolton.
Right there, Roger Bolton, you can't foul. He struggled at times here today as that help side defender, and Baylor keeps finding ways to put him in that position. Right there, just got to let him score the ball because of the foul trouble.
Bolton wraps it into Solomon Young, looking for help. Coleman Lands in trouble. 5 to shoot. Solomon Young looks up at the shot clock, tipped away, another turnover.
You can feel Baylor has totally upped their level energy-wise on the defensive end of the floor. They are really pressuring these guards.
Up top, and a reckless pass. That's a really nice job by Trey Jackson. Bolton, they need something, blocked away by Chamachachua. Up to Butler. Jared Butler looking for help.
It's got to be 3 seconds.
There it is.
They can find that. Boy, this has felt like a little bit of an open gym type setting here. Nobody here in Hilton Coliseum, and boy, a little bit of raggedy basketball here. Both teams have turned the ball over at times, but Iowa State's defense has done a nice job of containing the basketball and really keeping their man in front of them for most of this first half.
High for turnovers in a game this year for Baylor is 20, and that came against Stephen F. Austin. Iowa State's is 21. We are on a pace for many more than that for both teams. Bolton and Coleman Lands both out there with 2 fouls. Solomon Young. Right hand hook shot, no. Darlinstone couldn't pull it down. Vital rips it away. Baylor still looking for their first 3 of the game. Alan Harris trying to get around the screen. Easy call. John Higgins. Take the line in the double bonus. COT, 6'4" senior from Cincinnati, Ohio. Played a couple years at UNC Asheville. They've got a nice little transfer line there from the Big South Conference with Flagler, who was the freshman of the year in that conference. Maceo Teague also was the freshman of the year. Had some good guards. Scott Drew has at Baylor. Pierre Jackson, Manu LeConte, handful of others, but as a group, I don't think he's ever had this type of guard play.
Not this elite guard play, I would say. Right there, you talk about elite guard play. Rasheer Bolton doing a great job. Baylor's trying to keep these ball screens to the side, and Bolton just doing a great job of getting back to the middle and understanding that Jonathan Chamachachua is coming over to pin that thing on the board, getting some contact with him and drawing the foul. talk about elite shot blockers. It's so important, especially as a smaller player, to go through that guy's chest, and Rasir Bolton did just that.
Bolton came over last year from Penn State, averaged 15 a game, honorable mention, all Big 12. That was a really dangerous guard combination before Halliburton got hurt last year. The Baylor lead is just 2. Mitchell for 3. Still can't hit from downtown.
Iowa State's defense is really locked in here on these pick and rolls, and maybe most importantly, they've done a nice job on the defensive glass. Baylor, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, but boy, the Cyclones have had some real issues with charges here today. They've been running over these Baylor defenders, and the guards doing a great job of moving their feet, but once again, Stone Dubar just running over Davion Mitchell.
Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler. Every time I've been at a Baylor shoot-around, when they're on the road, they both run in before everybody else does. Mitchell goes and grabs the ball and hits the first shot. They have a ton of energy. Love playing together. Davion Mitchell he's an animal. Nice shot from Maceo Teague.
That's such a tough shot. Good defense by Rasir Bolton and Maceo Teague. Just going right over the top of the smaller Bolton and elevating, getting to his pull-up jump shot.
Young working on Thombe. Like this matchup early in the game and gets a foul call.
This is just really good basketball here by Maceo Teague. Understanding personnel, getting to a spot at the Big 12 logo, and just elevating right over the top of Rasir Bolton.
Solomon Young, kind of like Mark Vidal, just feels like he's been around a long time. Redshirt senior from Sacramento, California. It's his 5th year at Iowa State. Battled some injuries, but when he's been on the court for them, he has always been solid. Flagler out there with Teague and Mitchell, Matthew Meyer and Vidal for Baylor. Flagler, air balls, Vidal can't keep it in.
Iowa State's guards, and I've said this a couple times here today, they're really containing the bounce, and again, they force Baylor into a tough shot.
Iowa State giving Baylor all the hearing and a moment of reflection before the game. We see that across the country. A lot of great stories from what these athletes have done, using their platform and their voice. Iowa State is off to a great start against this Baylor team.
We really got to commend Iowa State's defense here today, Chucky, for holding Baylor to 0 of 6 from 3. I mean, you're talking about the best three-point shooting team by percentage in all of college basketball, shooting almost 46% from 3 on the year. And I think Steve Prohm's ball club has done an excellent job of contesting every shot from the perimeter.
10 Baylor turnovers. You mentioned they average just 11.5 a game. Hear that? That is dead silence inside Hilton Coliseum.
It's certainly different because we talked about it earlier, it's one of my favorite places to come, and just to see this place really empty. There's 1,500 fans in attendance today. It doesn't feel right. But with that being said, with everything that's going on, it is good to have basketball going on.
Rolls out from Vidal and a foul called. I think they got Trey Jackson on the rebound. It hasn't been pretty, but let's take another look at this. Mark Vidal is such an incredible athlete.
He's such an interesting player, right? Because you look at a box score's never going to do him justice. He's a guy that affects the game. He's an elite defensive player. He can switch 1 through 5. And we were talking this morning kind of about player comparisons. And They call him Baby Rico Gathers. I'm not sure he's that good of a rebounder, or as good of a rebounder as Rico Gathers was, but man, he reminds me in a way of Dennis Rodman, because Rodman could play the 1 through 5. Now, he's nowhere near the rebounder that Rodman was, but just a guy that's so willing to embrace his role and do whatever it takes for Baylor to win. Those are guys that you need to have on a championship caliber team, and that's what Baylor is.
Who was your, let's take it back to Purdue. Who was your Purdue comparison?
I mean, Chris Kramer was a guy who was unheralded offensively, but really could move the basketball, understood what we were doing, was a great screener, and then defensively, he's a 4-time all Big Ten defensive team type guy, a Big Ten defensive player of the year, and that's really kind of like Mark Vidal, because he is that level of a defender, and he doesn't care if he scores, he just cares about Baylor winning.
It's funny, you told me Kramer this morning, so I looked back at his numbers, and it really is. Oh, Mitchell missed a wide open layup. But it really did fit perfectly, because Kramer, I think, on his career averaged like 6 points and 3 rebounds. But if you look at the minutes and the games that he played, clearly was out there for a reason.
No, he was an elite defensive player, right? You're totally right about Davion Mitchell right there. He did everything but score the basketball, got right to the rim, and Mark Vidal picks up his 3rd foul, going for that rebound, and both teams find themselves in a bit of foul trouble here with 3:13 left in the first half.
Steve Prohm might have wanted it to look better, but as far as the script goes and where they are, I got to think he's happy.
He'll absolutely take the result, and they weathered the early storm, and defensively they've been very good.
Mitchell not going to miss that one.
That's a tough matchup. Darlington Dubar has no chance to contain Davion Mitchell off the bounce, and you're right, Chuck, he's not going to miss 2 in a row.
Bolton working on Mitchell. He is everywhere.
Davion Mitchell really moves his feet.
Solomon Young going baseline. Fades in, hits it. I think that was a good no call there. I thought John Machado
John Higgins getting him for a flopping warning. That was a really good no call. And you're John Machado, you've got to move your feet there and do a better job than that. That was a total sellout on that play.
Higgins had a real good look at it right there.
Solomon Young has been really effective here, scoring the ball, whether it's been Flo Thamba or Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua. You said earlier, Chuck, he is totally accurate. He's just been so solid for his Iowa State career.
2:30 to play, and the Cyclones trail the number 2 team by now 3 after Mitchell maybe starting to heat up.
Just his ability to stop on a dime right there on display. And Trey Jackson honestly had no chance to contest that shot.
They've got all 4 of those extraordinary guards on the floor right now. Bolton cannot find anywhere. Pulls up, and Teague got the rebound.
I think another good no call there.
Yeah. Chachua has kind of a mismatch underneath. Didn't get it to him. Teague going at Solomon Young. Coleman lands. Iowa State happy to slow it down right now.
A good decision by Jalen Coleman Lands. I like probing the defense, but when you see nothing's there, take it out, run your offense, and find an open layup.
How to find a way to get that in, too. Jaden Walker, that was almost a nightmare at the end of a really nice look.
Those shot blockers are coming, and Jaden Walker, a guy who against Jackson State gets 22 minutes, didn't play against West Virginia, didn't play against Kansas State, and you're right, that would have been a disaster had he not scored that look.
And a travel. Steve Prohm called it for Antonio Petty.
I like Iowa State's energy right now. Their bench is into it, and rightfully so with the way they defended. Turnovers have been an issue today, but when they've had a set defense, they've done a great job on this Baylor half-court offense.
Baylor has led by 10 or more points in 7 of their 8 games at halftime. Bolton just handed that to Davion Mitchell. Look at him fly down the court.
Well, that just can't happen. You know, your defense has done a great job in the half court, and you're just handing Baylor points when they're struggling to score. Certainly, Rasir Bolton not trying to mishandle that basketball, but those are mistakes you can't make if you're trying to beat a team like Baylor.
And Jared Butler, they see Jaden Walker handling the ball, and
blood in the water.
It was.
It's sharks circling right here, and you can see it in these Baylor guards' eyes. They're just going to heat him up, and Jaden Walker, welcome to the big time. Baylor really bringing the pressure and forcing things on the defensive end of the floor.
And that's just knowing your matchups right there.
Absolutely, and it's amazing how when you see a good defender, and his eyes kind of light up like Jared Butler's did right there.
Baylor's closest game of the season was a 13-point win over Illinois, which they led by 1 at halftime.
Baylor's an interesting team, and I think that they deserve all of the accolades for as well as they've played, but I think we know a lot more about this team had they gotten to play Villanova and Arizona State and Gonzaga. And Scott Drew certainly beefed the schedule up for his personnel, which he should have done, and COVID-19 has had other ideas. But we're going to really find out a lot about this group here as Big 12 play gets underway.
Iowa State can take the last shot of the half. And Bolton does a nice job to get it to Solomon Young. 10 to shoot. Trey Jackson might have been tipped and rolls out. And now Baylor has a chance. Flagler to Maceo Teague. Pulls up from long range. Airballs it. And Baylor leads by just 4. Scott Drew looking for his 351st win at Baylor. Iowa State looking for a nice start to the second half. Javen Johnson.
Tough shot by Javen Johnson with Mark Vital defending. And I think if you told Steve Prohm you're going to turn it over 13 times, have 5 guys with 2 fouls, almost all of them significant contributors, you look at the scoreboard and say, well, how much are we down? And to be down just 2 right now, have to give Iowa State a ton of credit.
Butler off the screen from Vital, and there it is, the first 3 of the game for Baylor, who has had 10-plus in 6 of their 8 games.
It was just a matter of time. Jared Butler is way too good a shooter to keep missing shots like that. He had some good looks in the first half and gets a good one there, knocks it down in the pick and roll.
Young into Bolton, a little bit late and blocked away by Maceo Teague.
Great help defense by Maceo Teague. A tough act to defend.
Butler again. Rebound Mitchell. Teague will take one. And back-to-back threes for Baylor.
Looks like the seal's been broken now, and Maceo Teague, a really mature play. Shot fake, let that defender fly by and get a wide-open look.
We saw this in the Illinois game. It was a 1-point game at halftime. It was tied around the 10-minute mark, and then Baylor just exploded. Butler all by himself. .80 run in a minute 29 seconds.
4 games, 18 points per game, and shooting 46% from 3 coming into today.
State looking for their first basket here in the second half. A foul called on Bolton's drive. Just 4 points, 1 of 6 from the field. 4 rebounds, 3 assists in the first half. One of 5 Iowa State players with at least 2 fouls.
Steve Prohm can't believe that this was not a shooting foul. He's incredulous over that. I thought Rasir Bolton was going up to shoot that basketball as well, but officials saying it was on the floor.
Trey Jackson couldn't get the shot off.
They missed Solomon Young there. I thought they could have thrown him the basketball, maybe had an opportunity to shoot.
Can't get the roll. Here comes Mark Vital. Looks surprised by it, but says, all right, I'll run the point. Maceo Teague. You talked about it before the game. You saw it in the warm-ups with that little hitch in his shot. Anything where he sets, he has that little hitch, and it kind of slowed him down there.
Well, it's going to be really hard for him, especially at the next level, when you talk about shooting a pull-up jumper and you have to set yourself with that hitch. Now, he's shooting a great percentage. By no means would you change that, but it is certainly interesting to see a guy shoot the ball that well with shot mechanics like that.
Bolton, and that time Mitchell's called for a block.
I think Baylor Bears fans are well acquainted with this jump shot and shooting over 38% from three this year, but not as substantial in his pull-up jumper. But when he's a catch-and-shoot guy, it's very obvious that he does hit that jumper.
On the way up, there's just a little kind of click at the midway point. Bolton's fouled on the drive again.
He really attacked Flo Thamba right there. A wise decision by Rasheer Bolton. We're going to see Jonathan Chamwachachua come back in. Thamba has stayed in foul trouble at times this season, but you see just going right after Flo Thamba, and he has no chance but to foul behind on that play. Think about how much that's changed for Pat Chambers. He's not even the coach there anymore. Yeah. So certainly everybody was affected, but at least for Baylor, the majority of the guys come back. You lose Bandu, you lose Freddie Gillespie, but honestly, Adam Flagler hasn't played well today, but I think he might be an upgrade off the bench. And Chamwachachua he's an outstanding big off the bench.
Are they better this year?
I think they are. I think they're going to end up being better this season just because of the improvement their guards have made. Now, they haven't looked better today. They certainly had some issues that Scott Drew's going to be able to take to the film room, but I do think that they're better this season.
Still up 10. Iowa State needs some buckets. Bolton looking for help. Found a really good shooter wide open, and Coleman Lands won't miss many of those.
Right now, Baylor's bigs are doing themselves a disservice in their pick-and-roll defense. Jonathan Chamwachachua making the same mistake that Flo Thamba just made, and again, Raj Bolton really attacking that ball screen and getting one for Jalen Coleman Lands.
Inside, and rebound for Coleman Lands. Doesn't have numbers, wants to run it a little bit. Back to him, Bolton. He's wide open. And can't get it. That would have been a big shot for the Cyclones.
That was a horse shot. There was nobody coming to close out on Rasheer Bolton right there. And a missed opportunity for Iowa State.
GOT sizing up Johnson. Defense by Javen Johnson. Teague finally found an opening. Chamwachachua. And one chance for the sophomore.
Scott Drew talked about it last night, just how hard Jonathan Chamwachachua has worked to become the player that he is. The UNLV transfer, keeping this one alive, getting it going on the offensive boards, taking some contact, and now the opportunity for a three-point that he's had and the time he's put in. Man, if you watch the Kansas State game, he looks like a guy that can play in the NBA. You know, he's a guy that's a great athlete, certainly has a great motor, and he at times has been their best option at the 5.
Tough shot from Javen Johnson.
It was really well defended by Adam Flagler, and you're right, Javen Johnson just going up and making a play.
I wonder how much value is there for guys like Adam Flagler and Chachua who come from different programs but get to sit and watch. And obviously you probably wouldn't want to as a player have to sit and watch a year, but into a program like Baylor that's so well-rounded and get to kind of see what your role might be that following year.
I think Baylor's done a phenomenal job of utilizing that year to sit out. It's going to be interesting as the rule changes with the NCAA, and on a great defensive possession there by the Baylor Bears, but as that rule changes, it's going to be really interesting to see how that kind of affects the development of some of these transfers they've had. They've done a nice job of developing talent.
Also had a top 60 recruit on ESPN's 100 list We have a technical foul called on Jared Butler.
John Higgins just walked over and kind of gave us the hand motion that he was yapping a little too much. So Jared Butler just a little over aggressive there talking to John Higgins.
Bolton connects on both.
I wonder if he said something when he blocked the shot. It didn't look like he said anything to the refs.
I saw a video on Twitter this week of something similar of a guy saying something after blocking a shot.
As you see Matthew Meyer into the bat. Was it Pete Nance from Northwestern?
It was, yeah.
That's a weak technical foul. I really take issue with that. You could call that every time down the floor, and actually in that same game, an Iowa player had said it earlier.
Yeah. Not that we can, it wasn't anything bad. There's nothing we can say, but basically, get that out of here.
It
after a block shot.
It should not be a foul.
Flagler in some trouble. 6 to shoot from ACOT. Kamwachachua at the screen. Teague has 2 to shoot. Solomon Young all over him. They're not going to get a shot off.
Solomon Young doing an excellent job of moving his feet at the end of that possession. And Adam Flagler's just a little out of sorts today. He has not scored, and that's a guy that's averaging almost 13 a game for Baylor. And he's made a 3 in every college game he's played in 42 straight games. And that's an incredible number. And right now, that streak is in jeopardy.
A big offensive possession for Iowa State, down just 6. Johnson trying to cut it in half, and he does.
David Johnson getting a switch, and Flo Thamba late coming out. Scott Drew going to take a timeout and talk this over. The turnovers, and he does have 5 today, but he's almost been perfect from the field and has really been good shooting the ball.
Butler almost lost that. And Iowa State keep it up out of this timeout. Flagler for 3. And rebound Solomon Young, foul called. This is going to go on Mark Vidal, and that's his 4th.
Iowa State has not been a great defensive rebounding team on the year, but with Baylor coming in here as one of the top offensive rebounding teams in college basketball, Solomon Young doing a nice job of blocking out there. Mark Vidal picking up a tough 4th foul.
Just get the feeling every second that this clock ticks with Iowa State just a couple possessions down, their confidence is skyrocketing.
Boy, the ultimate respect to David Johnson. Look who took him right there. Davion Mitchell.
About hit that right in front of Mitchell, but a great closeout. And here comes Davion. Flagler wants another one. He cannot hit right now from 3.
He's just looked out of sync. Couldn't get it going in the first half, and now 2 really bad misses from 3.
Bad pass there. You're looking at Coleman Lands, who was open, but just wasn't through that passing lane. T going to work. Foul called against Coleman Lands, his 3rd.
Turnovers have just been such an Achilles heel for this Iowa State Cyclones ball club. And you're right, Chucky. The idea is there. You can make that pass, but you can't throw it on a frozen rope through that defense. There's going to be some air under that ball, and there wasn't anything there. Really, Iowa State lucky that Baylor unable to convert.
Butler 3, no good. Rebound Bolton. Here Bolton, nice defense. You almost cannot drive on Davion Mitchell.
He's an elite defender. There's no doubt about that.
Bolton splits the defense, lays it up and in, a 1-point game.
That was really smooth by Rasheer Bolton, just splitting the pick and roll, and the help side defense for Baylor nowhere to be found. Bolton getting right to the rack.
That's poked away. George Condit has it, and a wild pass. Steve Crum quickly says, hey, we're all right. Butler almost lost it. Kicks it out. Flagler has to track it down at midcourt. 10 to shoot. Teague on Johnson. Foul called as Maceo Teague was driving, and it goes against Rozier Bolton. That's his third.
Much has been said about Javen Johnson coming into today with the shooting struggles, and you've got Davion Mitchell and also Flo Thamba contesting that jump shot. Johnson has had a nice afternoon scoring the ball.
Teague's first one off the mark. Leads the team with 16 points per game, an 89% free throw shooter. Cyclones trying to get set in direct traffic. Bolton driving. Johnson open again. Oh my goodness, how do you lose him?
Baylor has had some serious issues now defending the pick and roll. Rozier Bolton is getting wherever he wants on the floor, and with that breakdown on the ball, David Johnson finds himself all alone again.
Condit blocks the shot. Thamba in trouble, and that falls. What a shot by Flo Thamba.
Thamba, not a guy that's necessarily known for his offensive prowess here, but does a really nice job staying in the play. The pick and roll defense for Baylor has certainly been an issue. Rozier Bolton is getting whatever he wants. David Johnson the beneficiary, and Flo Thamba just staying with this right here. A big bucket for Baylor.
I don't know how he kept his pivot foot down in all that traffic, but connects and puts the Bears back on top. That has to be part of what's so daunting. We talked about the bench, but something like that from Thamba, who you really, like you said, don't expect to have that happen, but on great teams, it just finds a way.
Well, there's also just no fall off. You know, when they sub, it's almost like sometimes in certain situations they just get better. And that's why this Baylor team is so tough to deal with.
It's missed. He really didn't even look at the hoop. He kind of was in his shot motion before he knew where he was. Teague driving on him, and nice finish.
That's a beautiful left-hand finish, high off the glass. And Maceo Teague.
I think it's hard for people to understand how important the summer and fall are for young players, freshmen especially, but everyone. What's it like when you get on campus that first time as a freshman, when you went to Purdue? What are those first few months like?
Well, you're just acclimated, to everything. The weight room, the level of play, the difference in recovery you have to have as a player. It's a challenge. And these guys that, Baylor certainly brings a lot of guys back. Iowa State doesn't have that luxury. A lot of new faces, and it's just a totally different animal.
Davion Mitchell just picked up his fourth foul.
Tough foul to go against him. That should have been a travel.
And that is huge because it seems like when Baylor's been stuck offensively, they've went to him. Obviously, he's a huge defensive stopper. Coleman lands for three.
Boy, Baylor is fortunate. At times, their defense, they like to point and switch, and that can get you in trouble. Matt Meyer right there, nowhere close to Jalen Coleman lands.
That's an easy call right there. Butler looking for Flagler. Break down the point and switch for us. What exactly are you talking about?
Usually when you see coaches teaching a switching defense, you're switching on contact. When your man goes and sets a screen, we're together, we come together, we switch the ball screen. A lot of times, and Baylor gets away with it because they're great in recovery and they're experienced and they're smart, but there's a lot of pointing and switching where if you're not on it, you can really get slipped and get kind of disconnected from your man.
Flagler kicks it out. Teague on the run.
Baylor's had some looks that normally over the course of this season they've made. And that's a good look for Maceo Teague.
Coleman Lands might have traveled again. Solomon Young has it taken away by Matthew Meyer. Baylor wants to reset. Meyer to the hoop. What a feed. And can't get the finish by Chamwa Chachua. Meyer with a little slip pass.
Matthew Myers' eyes lit up when he saw Solomon Young. And this is a tough mismatch defensively for Iowa State. And Myers showing off that talent. That's probably one where Jonathan Chamachachua wishes he could maybe have back.
A lot of great matchups for Matthew Myers. He's got some size. He's not fast, but he's certainly not slow.
He's a good athlete. Matthew Myers, a really talented guy. I think just from watching him over the course of his career, and then you see him in person, he's got great size. He's a really good athlete. I think there's some things that he's learning really from a maturity standpoint with his game, or what it takes to be a great player, and what a weapon he is for Scott Drew coming off the bench.
Holton picked up his dribble. They were on a 7-0 run of the last couple minutes.
Chamachachua really moving his feet right there. That was well done.
Hesitation, Bolton to the hoop, but he rejects it. Butler for three. Good. Jared Butler in the corner.
That's defense creating offense. That's Jonathan Chamachachua really moving his feet, and then great transition offense. The extra pass to Jared Butler in the corner.
Iowa State needs a bucket. Coleman lands. Did it go off his own foot? It did. That's what the referee says. Chrome talked about not turning it over and giving Baylor easy buckets. They turned over 17 times, but they got 15 of those back. The other thing was defending the three, and that's what Iowa State has done really well. Baylor just 20%, 3 of 15 today. Maceo Teague. Off the mark, Chamachachua tips it out of bounds.
That doesn't go, but that was an incredible pass from Jared Butler to get that over to Maceo Teague for that type of look in the corner. Over George Condit's wingspan, that was really nice.
No timeouts for Iowa State. As a player on the floor, down 8 against this caliber of a team, do players break it down, or does the coach try to break it down into segments? Hey, the next 4 minutes to that next media timeout, this is what we need to do.
Well, certainly you need to chip away, but I'm sure that none of the Iowa State players are maybe they're aware that they don't have any timeouts to know that they can't call one, but they're not worried about that. You're worried about playing and trying to chip away what Baylor's done.
Some stops, but connect at the other end recently. Haven't scored in 4 minutes. Matthew Meyer inside. Foul called. Let's see who they got here. Coleman Lands has 3. If it's on him, it'll be his 4th. And I think they actually got Condit, his 3rd. Puts Matthew Meyer on the line, the junior from Austin, Texas. 69% free throw shooter. Connects on the first. Coming for Baylor fans on Big 12 Now on ESPN Plus on the women's side. The 7th ranked Baylor Bears taking on Kansas on Wednesday, January 13th. TCU, Baylor men on the 6th of February, and then this rematch on the 23rd of February. All that on ESPN Plus. It's a 9-point game. Solomon Young tipped by Maceo Teague and saved by Trey Jackson, making his season debut. Back iron, Coleman Lands tips it, but Chamachachua catches it. Anything changed for Baylor down the stretch in a close game? Just keep chipping away.
They have elite guards. At the end of the game, it's time for Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, and Maceo Teague to go to work and make plays. That's the luxury they have, is that they can just do what they do throughout the course of a game. End of game, they're not changing anything. And Jared Butler right there just getting to his spot, knocking it down.
We'll say, even through some of the frustrations this game, they never looked rattled. And same with Illinois. In that game, they just never looked like like anything was wrong. Matthew Meyer might have taken a shot there, but nice finish by Solomon Young.
That was high level from Solomon Young, going up through contact, and Matthew Meyer coming over to contest. Solomon Young knocking it home.
Snaps a little Baylor run that they were on. And ripped away by Bolton. Has options. Bolton taking it himself, and he finishes it with a left hand.
That was great help side defense. Rusher Bolton just digging that out. And how about Trey Jackson with the effort right here?
Cyclones not done just yet.
Rusher Bolton totally digging out this post play from Chanwa Chachua and then getting to Matt Meyer's body. Trey Jackson, what a great effort to steal a possession here. When Iowa State needed a spark, they've found ways to hang in this game. They will not go away.
Things for Taylor to make a substitution. Not sure exactly what that was. There's definitely some commotion though. And Vital ends up coming in with 4 fouls. Coleman lands from the elbow. Fade away.
What a big time step back. You talk about covering some ground. And Kalen Coleman lands doing just that. Iowa State again hanging around.
Limited crowd on their feet. Eight to shoot. Butler, tough three. Rims out. Here comes Bolton. Wants to go quickly. Almost lost it there. Bolton's tough shot. Solomon Young keeping it alive. What a rebound. Can't get the putback.
Well, you can't fault Solomon Young's effort right there. He really went after that offensive rebound.
Baylor slowing things down. We'll have one more media timeout at our next stoppage. Teague on Solomon Young, likes this matchup. Does take a really tough shot though. Bolton, that's just a bad pass. And Solomon Young has to foul Jared Butler. That is it for Solomon Young. Definitely energy in here, but on any other given day against the number 2 team in the country, this place would be rocking.
Not the same, you know, and that's an obvious statement, but this place would be absolutely going nuts, and it's certainly sad because we've both seen this place at its best, but hopefully it won't be too much longer where fans will be back in buildings and things will be back to normal, and I think we both can say we can't wait for that.
The best home court advantages in America. Bolton, tough shot. What a shot from Rasheer Bolton.
Boy, if you're Macy Teague, you tip your cap to Rasheer Bolton, you go down and play offense. That was a big-time shot.
Lead just 5. Baylor keeping him at arm's length at the moment. 6 to shoot. They get Coleman lands for a foul late in the shot clock. That's his 4th, and man, that is just not what Steve Prohm wanted. He's upset about it too.
Steve Prohm not happy about the screen set up top. He thought it was illegal on Trey Jackson, but really a smart play by Jared Butler to turn that ball screen down and drive it right into the defender's right side. Get yourself to the foul line.
Missed the free throw, but it's a double bonus. Jackson was ready to grab the rebound and put it back. Baylor hadn't had a field goal in 3 minutes. possession so important right now for Iowa State. Almost thrown away. Oh, Bolton, just a bad decision.
Well, a predetermined thought. He came off that screen thinking, I'm throwing this in the corner, expecting that help side to come. It didn't. And you throw it right to Davion Mitchell.
19 turnovers for Iowa State, but they'll look back at about 3 or 4 and think, oh, man. Idle spinning. Rims out. Chachua puts it back in.
What a grown man rebound by Chachua. That's a huge play. And credit Mark Vidal for getting to the basket, unable to finish it, but Chachua putting it home.
Jonathan Chachua with some big buckets and rebounds today. 7 points, 10 rebounds. Prome's barking orders from the sideline.
Well, you almost feel like maybe Davion Mitchell would have been the guy to foul if you were going to do it. And obviously, you don't do it now, but Jared Butler makes that three, and you have to think this game, that's a dagger by Jared Butler.
Butler has 21, a travel called. And the Baylor Bears are trying to wrap this thing up.
Well, it was just a matter of time with Jared Butler. How about the pass, though? Davion Mitchell getting deep into the paint and finding Jared Butler, who knocks down a monster three for Baylor.
Foul Maceo Teague. Scott Drew picks up his 351st win at Baylor. But overall, with a win today, will tie his dad for Division I coaching wins at 371 for Scott. And I know you have a special relationship with the Drew family, but I'm certain for Scott that's a big milestone.
Absolutely. And I know Homer has got to be so proud of the job that Scott has done here. He's certainly rebuilt this program into a powerhouse, and now you look at what Baylor's got. They are a legitimate national championship contender.
Certainly would have had a chance last year, and I guess my question to you is the matchup everyone wanted to see was Gonzaga-Baylor, which was canceled. Do you foresee that matchup when it's all said and done?
I think it's totally possible. To me, they're the two by far best teams I've seen this year. And I think you could make a case for maybe Villanova, Tennessee to sneak into that top tier, but it's Baylor and Gonzaga in a class by themselves. They have been excellent this year, and it's honestly a shame that game was canceled.
Mitchell off the mark, but just 15 seconds to play. You do see that tier, though, don't you, with Gonzaga, Baylor, and then you think Nova, Tennessee maybe trying to get up there?
Yeah, I think so. I think those are probably the two best teams that would be willing to get into that next tier, but it's definitely clear to me Gonzaga and Baylor are the two best teams in college basketball right now.